Hello, Annice here. Welcome to Drawing the Spirit, where art therapy meets your soul. As you can see, we're outside today on the porch swing actually. It's a little warm, but I think it's worth it. A little storm coming up, but we'll be okay. I just wanted to share this special time outside because I love being outside. To me, um, it's just very healing. I always feel closer to God when I'm outside. And I was going to take you on a walk, but since the sky got a little dark, I didn't want to get too far from home. Today we are talking about the capacity of love and the capacity to love. And I'm going to show you something different on our breath work today as well. Normally we do a two-step inhale and exhale. Well, today we're going to do what's called a 4x4 because there's 4 steps to the count of 4. It's also called a box breath, and Navy SEALs use it and they call it tactical breathing. And you may not get into difficult situations like the Navy SEALs, but trust me, when you walk up that door each day, you don't know what you're going to encounter, and you may get a little more stressed than what you might think. So I'm going to show you what it is first, go through the steps, and then we can do it together. And while you're doing it, think about, the Navy SEALs use it when they get into high adrenaline situations, where the adrenaline is raised up, the heart rate is fast, and then in situations like that, then you can lose your clarity, your mind can get a little cluttered, and so in order to get through stressful situations like that and get back your mental clarity and slow your heart rate down so that you can make those good decisions that you need to make when you're in an emergency or stressful situation, this breathing will help you to do that. So first of all, you want to sit or stand up straight so it opens up your diaphragm. The air can get in and out slowly and easily. You're going to, as usual, just inhale through the nose, and then we're going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As we hold that, then we exhale slowly to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hold that for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll go through that. So inhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out slowly through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so continue to breathe slowly in through your mouth and out, and holding your breath to the count of 4. And think about any questions you have about love. And we're talking about godly love today. So think about questions you have, because while God is presenting the message to us, then those answers will find your questions. It might be things like, why do we have to love our enemies, and things like that. So let's do one more deep breath. Air in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly out through the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. As I said, we are talking about godly love, the capacity to love and the capacity of love. And when I thought about that, I was like, well, which one do I choose? And God's answer was that the message was in the words, the capacity to love and the capacity of love. So first of all, I thought about, what is capacity? And capacity is what something holds. Now, our bodies are a vessel. It can hold a lot of different things. It can hold a lot of thoughts, a lot of knowledge. Our hearts, we can hold a lot of love. So while most vessels, say like a measuring cup, it can hold 1 cup, and that's all it can hold. But our vessels, our body, our brains, our hearts, we can hold limitless amounts of knowledge and love. We can love as many people as we want to. We can love them forever, whether they're here anymore or not. We can still love people. We can just love as many people for as long as we want, and as intense as we want. So we have the capacity to love limitless. So think about that. Why don't we? We don't. We tend to limit who we love, and we're kind of stingy with our love sometimes, aren't we? But there's no limit to it. He gives us love, and He gives us love not just for ourselves, but for us to pass it on. And there I see the capacity of holding love, that we shouldn't hold love, that love should be like a sieve, the one where you drain your pasta. It's got all the holes in it so nothing stays in it. Well, since God is constantly giving us love, then if we're having that love just kind of go through us like a sieve, then that love is constantly moving from God to us and through us to other people. And that's a wonderful thought, isn't it? That love can go to people that we don't even know. You can see someone who's having a difficult time. You're driving down the road and you see a homeless person, or someone who has a flat tire, or something like that, or a mother having a difficult time in the store with her children. We can just send love to people. We can just think about them with love and send that love to them and say a prayer too, because that's a loving thing to do. So we can pass that love on. And so the capacity is limitless, and we don't have to hold on to love. Let it go through you, from God to you to other people that need it. That's a wonderful thought to have in the world that we have right now, where we have so many wars and so much hate and so much difficulty in our relationships and even with ourselves. There is such a need for love. So let's just let it pass on, through us as well. And then when I thought of the words of and to, and the word of is of significant meaning also, because God is love. Love is of God. So it's where love comes from. And that's important, because He is our maker. He created us, and He created love, and He is love. Love is of God. So it means it is the best thing because it's of God. And so it's a wonderful thing to have. And then when we have to, T-O, that adds to it as well, because it's where it comes from, which again is from God. So the capacity of love, the capacity to love, was the message that God was wanting us to have today with those phrases. And then when I thought about the problem with that, I can't remember how many years ago it was where this was happening. There's a condition called failure to thrive that was connected to babies who were not getting any affection or attention. Either they were in an orphanage or they were in a hospital. And so there was kind of like a hands-off sort of policy like that, where now we understand how important it is to give love and affection and physical touch. But there were babies who were dying because they didn't understand it. They were giving them the food and the fluids and everything that they needed, but yet they were not gaining weight, and they were not thriving and developing and growing like they should have. And so finally, when people started picking them up and holding them and giving them love and affection, then the babies started growing and developing like they should have. And then it was just sort of an accidental research project there that showed that love is vital. It's vital to our lives. And while you may not feel that you are loved, you know that God loves you, to know that. Because love is something that we really need to have, that godly love. And that, you are getting it whether you realize it or not. And that it could be a stranger on the street, like I just talked about, who passed by and just sent you some love, and you didn't even know. Maybe you felt it. I hope you did. So we can hold limitless love. We can give limitless love. So let's look at the definition of what love is, um, so that we can keep that in mind as we talk a little bit more. The love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13, is referred to, verses 4 through 8. Now, normally I use the King James Version, but I read the New International Version in the Bible, and I thought it just was very suitable with some of the interpretive words that it used. It says, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, and it doesn't. And look at some of the key words in those verses. It protects, it trusts, it hopes, it doesn't anger, it doesn't delight in evil, and it doesn't keep a record of wrongs, that it's patient and it's kind. So think about all of those. Those are actions. Those are choices that we make. And when we think about situations where we would need to do these things for others, think about what a difference that makes when someone is going through a difficult time, whether it's just an emotional difficulty, physical illness, or anything like that. Being patient and being kind and not delighting in evil. What does all of that tell us? That would definitely make this person, their situation better, and it would help to heal, and it would help to make them feel better. So when you look at all of that, that is our definition of godly love. It's a commitment to the well-being of others, their physical well-being, emotional, mental, spiritual well-being, as well as our own. We need to be kind and loving to ourselves as well. So when you look at all of those things, those are actions that we can choose to do. They are choices that we make for ourselves and to behave that way towards others. So that gives us the ability to be considerate of others and what their needs are. And that's what our love is. And that's what God gives to us. He knows what we need. He knows who we are. And He knows what He's going to give us and help us with each and every day. And that's what makes love so amazing, because it can be very individualized depending on what our situation is. What do we need? Do we need patience? Do we need kindness? Do we need someone to trust, someone to protect us? It's whatever our needs are. That's what needs to be considered. And when we do that, then love can cause us to flourish, just like those babies who had the failure to thrive. When they received the love that they needed in the form that they needed, which was to be held, to have that warmth of another, loving, caring person, then they flourished and they thrived. And so anyone can do that. And so we just bloom just like flowers and plants in a garden. And it can heal people who are wounded. It can restore someone who is broken, restore their faith. And it can bring joy and belonging to someone who may feel forgotten or lonely. And so that is how powerful love is. And that's why, God designed us, created us to need that love. And because we receive so much from Him and we can give to others, we can, be like the sieve with the capacity of every time you pour love in, it's going to pour out. Well, that's what it needs to do. It needs to be passed on to other people in the appropriate way that they need it to be, whether it's just a friend to listen, or someone to give support and hope in some way, or whatever it is. Those are are the way that we can show love and show our appreciation, to God for giving us that love, because it's just a wonderful gift that He gave us, and it's something so necessary in our lives. And I thought about a story when I worked at an orphanage school. It was designed primarily for boys. The boys lived in the orphanage, but there were a few girls who did in the summer program would come to the school. And when I first started there, I had asked the boys, what, well, actually, they didn't like to be called boys. They said they were all men, so to remember to call them young men. And so I asked them, what did they want me to know about them? I told them about myself, and I wanted to know about them, get to know them. And I came to this one young man, and usually I don't use names, but his name was Daniel, and he just shrugged his shoulders, and he goes, "Oh, there's nothing to know." He said, "I'm just a state kid." And if you're not familiar with that term, it meant that the children were wards of the state. Most of them had families, but there were situations in their family where they were not, it wasn't good for them to live with them. It was some type of addiction or some mental health issues or some legal issues, and so the children had no home to go to, and foster care isn't always the right answer for everyone. So they lived at this boys' home, one of the few orphanages left in our country, and so we had the school there to help serve their needs better. And so part of my job there as a teacher was not just to teach academic subjects, but to teach things that children would normally learn in a family environment, like social skills, conversational, and how to deal in certain situations and things like that. So one day this young man, Daniel, came to me, and he said, well, and let me explain their living situation. They didn't live in dormitories like most people think, orphanages and so on. It wasn't institutionalized. They had small homes or cottages with house parents and just small number of boys in each one. So it was more like a family living situation, which I thought was really great. So his house parents and his other brothers, I guess you could say, in his cottage, they like to go bowling. So each week they went to the bowling alley. And so Daniel had saw a young woman, a young lady there, and he was so smitten, he just fell head over heels in love. And he wanted to speak to her, but he didn't really know how. And so he came to me and he asked me, he said, "I don't want to mess this up." And he said, "Can you help me to know what to say to her?" And she was just a really, really great person. He said that she was a good bowler, because I asked him to describe her. He said she was a very good bowler. He said, and she was really a good sport, that if she got a gutter ball or missed or did something or messed up, he said she would just laugh and shrug it off. She wouldn't cuss or kick or throw anything. He said she would just say, I'll do better next time. And she was there with her family every week as well. So he was just intrigued and wanted to talk to her and meet her. So I said, okay, well, we can do a role play, where you can talk to me as if I was her, and that would help you to not be so nervous, and you'll have some things in mind to say to her when you do decide to approach her for a conversation. So he said that the older boys had given him some advice as well. So I said, okay, show me what you've got, And so if you know the actor John Wayne, he has this kind of swagger where he kind of goes in and he does this little swagger. So that's what, I don't know, Daniel was doing that. And so he had this little swagger, and he swaggered up to me and he said, "Hey, Mama, you are looking good." And he gave me this wink. And I said, "Oh my goodness, is that what the older boys told you to do?" And I said, "Don't listen to them. Don't do anything that they tell you to do." So I said, we can come up with something a lot better. So he decided, I just gave him some options, that that starting a conversation with someone just by simply introducing yourself. Hi, I'm Daniel. Um, and give a compliment. Well, I noticed what a great bowler you were, and then ask a question like, have you been bowling a long time, or who taught you how to do this so well? And just talk to her for a few minutes, and don't stand too close, because you don't really know her, and be sure and look her in the face, and not stare intensely, but you don't want to be looking all around. And then ask for her to introduce you to her parents, because you want to meet her father. And when you get introduced, you want to look him in the face as well. Stand up tall, say your name clearly, look to see if he extends his hand out, and then you want to shake it firmly. And he's going to ask you a lot of questions, and so you want to just answer them honestly. That he was, and I'm sure still is, a fine young man. He was very honest and caring, and the situation he was in was no fault or choice of his own. So I wanted to help him as much as I could to make new friends. And he said he was a state kid, meaning he was a ward of the state, and he knew that he was going to be there until he was 18 years old, because he said nobody adopts older kids, and he was right. Most of the time, people didn't adopt older children. But I still prayed about it. And people would ask me, because they knew working in the orphanage school was, I was working with some difficult situations, and people would ask me, how did I deal with those things? And I said, well, I used one method every day that worked like a charm. And they said, what was that? And I said, I loved those children. I loved them, and I truly did, and I still do. And I prayed for them all the time. And so I prayed for all of them, but in this situation, I was praying for Daniel, because he came back to school after we had worked on this introduction thing. And so he came back, and he was so happy. He goes, I got to talk to her, and she liked me, and her dad liked me, and they said that I could come when we were at the bowling alley, I could come and sit with them and bowl with them. And oh, my heart was just leaping, because I had been praying for someone to take this young man into their lives and to love him like he deserved, like we all deserve. And I didn't stay there long enough for them to all grow up, but I know that I prayed, and when I pray, sometimes I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I think of someone, and I know that they need prayer. And I didn't just pray for these children and other students that I've had. I plead with God, and I petition on their behalf to God. And I don't have any proof of this, but I think that when you are praying, petitioning, pleading to God on behalf of children, that He moves you to the head of the line. Because I've saw so many prayers and so many changes because of prayer and the love that was given to people who thought they weren't worthy of it. So I saw that there were people who were grown, who did not have really family and support until they were older, and they married someone who had wonderful family, who basically they married into the family, but they were adopted as well, and they were treated with love and respect and consideration that they never had when they were children. So they were treated like they were their parents, and I saw how that changed them, and how they told me how, I didn't have it when I was a child, but I've got it now. I've got a family. I've got people who love and support me. So that's what I prayed for Daniel, because he so deserved it, as all of those young men did. They maybe they received it when they were older if they didn't get it when they were, minors. But I prayed and petitioned for him so much because that opportunity came up for him. And that's what we need to do. We need to just love people just because we all deserve it, and pray and plead and petition, especially for children, because I truly do believe God will move you to the front of the line for that. And it was a wonderful experience to work with those young men. And on our next video, we will talk about, I don't want to lose anybody on this, neuroscience, spirituality, and love. Neuroscience is just the chemical, we talk about chemistry and love. Neuroscience is just the chemistry that happens within our body and our brains, when that cause certain feelings and emotions. So I can make it interesting and fun, I promise. So join me on the next video for neuroscience, spirituality, and love. And thank you for joining me on this one. Remember that you are loved. Whether you realize it or not, you are. And that you're awesome. And I'll see you next time.